Shawty in my hand, but I gotta get rid of it. Shawty understand that I gotta get rid of it. You know I'm the man, so I gotta get rid of it. Gotta get rid of it.
Welcome to the 2-Bit Cypher. It's your boy D Brown. I got the crew with me, C Edmonds, AM Lorick. Today we're going to talk about relationships that you can create and develop through gaming and some of the issues that come along with it. Let's get into it. Let's just start off with just our relationships. Aaron, I'll start with Aaron. I met Aaron in 2007 through the Division. We were in a clan. We were in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare clan called the Division. That's what it was called.
Man, 2007.
Yeah, 2007. And, you know, we just...
0607, something like that.
Yeah, it was 06, 07. I don't even know the year. But anyway, we were in a clan. And then, you know, we've been gaming ever since then, you know, just on and off. You know, took a couple of hiatuses, if you will.
Oh,
you know,
that's what we're calling.
That's what we're calling them hiatuses.
Okay, hey,
Yeah, we'll just
you know,
call it that.
But
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
I just, like I said, we met in 07, and then, you know, here we are, 2021. That's my graphic designer.
Congratulations, here we are.
Right, you know what I mean?
Great. Yeah, I'm
We
doing
can-
fantastic. Yeah,
Right, absolutely. And we'll touch on that more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
C Edmonds, I got C Edmonds. The story behind C Edmonds, I had a old college teammate that went to go that from JUCO that went to C Edmonds college, became friends, and then we, I guess, kicked it a couple times. I don't remember. You know, what I mean?
Man.
This is before the games. We
Man.
hung out every now, or I say once or twice we hung out.
Maybe.
I don't remember either time.
Right.
And just through the grapevine, through that mutual friend, started gaming. And that we
Yeah.
started gaming what, 2 years ago?
Man, maybe I'll say 3, but that might be being
Right,
generous.
Right.
Probably since like 2018.
Right.
ish.
Okay. So we'll say 3 years, and then
Mhm.
we'll say from this 3 years become just best friends. I will
Yep.
say best friends.
Yep.
And I'll say I brought this up to somebody the other day, you know, like, who's
Mhm.
Chad? I said, Chad's
Right.
one of my best friends. They were like, excuse me?
Right.
Like, no, this is why we're doing this, because you
Real
have no
talk.
idea. Somebody that you can just, you know, I mean, obviously we went through 2020 and you got the wrath of my 2020 every day.
Right.
Just angry, just nobody giving a damn.
It was an
just-
interesting year.
It was just an interesting year.
an
It was
interesting year.
Chad.
We'll say
Did
that.
you see what happened? It was Chad.
Man.
Man, I had a raggedy day, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? I think when I look at the relationships that I've developed through gaming, there have been situations like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think,
Absolutely.
you know, it's kind of, you know, I guess it's soft, cliche or whatever, but I think as men, you know, we don't, you know, talk like we do, like us three do.
Yeah.
We just don't.
No,
We don't.
Not often.
And I think we should.
Yep. I agree, man. I'd say the same thing. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, and I'm glad you said that, because that's the thing that people, you know, especially people of color, get labeled by a lot. It's like, oh, you're soft. You can't. What do you mean he's your best friend? What do you mean you talk to him when you're low? What do you mean you know, what do you mean you're vulnerable? You know what I mean? Like, if you say things like that, people get funny, you know what I mean? And they start thinking that, you know, when you're a man, you can't have days where you need your guys. You know, you have to just gut it out, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's significant that, you know, we can say, you know, the three of us have used this mode of gaming to develop a relationship with each other, right? To develop friendships. Whereas if that wasn't the case, we probably wouldn't, not only would we not have a relationship, we wouldn't know each other really
Right.
at all,
Yeah.
you know? So
How you
that's
feel on that, Aaron?
No
significant.
question. It's a great thing. I think that the amount of time that I've known you, we've probably spent, if not 50-50 time playing and talking, just
Right.
talking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we'll sit down, we're done playing, but because we were done playing and we had a great time, we're still talking. You know what I mean? One of my kids might act up in the background, like, which kid is that? Or you start talking about your personal lives. You know what I
Man,
mean?
that's the
Becomes-
other part.
It becomes a point
Yeah.
to where
Yeah.
you know, I know, you know, your kid is the oldest kid now, longer than I know my own kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
Mhm.
Right.
you just build that that relationship and that closeness that you don't really that most people would get back in the day just meeting folks regular. You know what I mean?
Correct.
At any time. I mean, it's still a rare. I would say I'm quite social, but it's rare that I'd be like, oh, I got a new boy. You know what I mean? Like I want to start hanging out.
Man,
You know
all
what I mean?
day.
Somebody. It's just
Right.
not. It just isn't what it is anymore.
It's
you know?
hard.
So,
It's hard. And that's
Right.
that's a good point too, Aaron, because a lot of times when you meet people in person, you know, there's not a whole lot of opportunities for you to talk, right? Or get to know each other. Like
Right.
the box is something where you could just keep having conversations with people to the point where you actually know them.
Mhm.
Whereas if I met you, you know, at a party, or I met you, you know, through a friend, I may not see you again for another 2-3 weeks. We may not even,
Right.
you know, have a conversation again for another month or two until the next party or get together is.
Right.
Because I'm not calling you after that first meeting.
Right. You're not gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be like, hey, bro,
I'm
give me
not
your
gonna
number.
call you. Hey, man,
I'll
you're
call
a
you
real
later.
dude, man.
Right.
Let's text each other sometime.
Give
You know
me
what I
your
mean?
number. Yeah, we can hang
Man, that's
out.
not gonna happen. You
I'll
know,
text
so that's I'm not texting you after I met you at the bar. You know, so yeah, it's just a mode where it's comfortable. You know, you have a common interest. You know,
Yes.
we both, you know, we can be on this box and we can have conversations, and you can also play something that we both are interested in. Right?
Yeah,
I feel like
no.
this is
So-
one of the more authentic places you could be too, right? Where you
Mhm.
could actually meet somebody because this is something that you enjoy doing. You're just sitting
Yeah.
down on your own time, just enjoying yourself. You know what I mean? So if you find cats that are in the same boat, play the same games, who like the same
Man,
stuff, eventually you'll figure it
100%.
out. You know what I mean? Like, man,
Yeah.
you're gonna make it. The people that I've met on here over almost 15, 20 years now is
Mhm.
ridiculous. A lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I still know a lot of people today. You know,
Yeah,
You're-
no.
Brown is one of many. You know what I mean? My
Right.
biggest,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
biggest client is somebody I met playing video games.
Yeah.
So
It's, you know, it's a done deal. Like I think for me, it goes back to what C just said, the common interests. Obviously, we love playing games, right? So
Right.
there's your common interest. But then you get into sports, right?
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
love sports. And we just
Yep.
sit here and BS all day.
all
and
day.
just talking. Like Aaron said, it's 50-50. Sometimes lately, for me, it's 80-20 not playing the game.
yeah,
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's 20%.
I'd say that the talking has taken over.
Oh, the talking
Like,
is
no
taken
question.
over.
has taken over.
I've spent far less time playing games than just
No
talking.
question. No
I'm
question.
sitting here working and we're talking. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
You're doing everything and talking. You're hanging out with the fam a little bit and
Right.
talking. You know what I mean? You're doing a lot, you know,
Yeah.
and it to me, it's incredible. To me, it's wild how it happens. Right.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think so. If you go back to when we were little, I don't think I would have been like, wow, the gaming is going to develop into like
No.
where I'm at doing podcasts.
never.
I don't know if this happens without gaming, truthfully.
Nah,
I
nah,
really don't know if this happens without gaming.
nah,
Maybe it
nah.
does, maybe it doesn't. But like, you know, I think Aaron said this. You can really be yourself on the game.
Mhm.
Like this on the game, I would say is me in my purest form. Like
Yeah.
just 100% genuine. And I think, you know, I don't know if society plays into this. Like I'm not going to be able to act like I do in the box in a corporate setting.
Right.
You're just not going.
Right.
You're just not going to be able to do it. It's
Nah.
not going to happen. You're going to be fired.
Nah.
You can be
Right.
fired fast.
Well, you got to be polished, right? You got to have
Yeah.
a little more. You can be a little more rough around the edges when
Mhm.
you're in the game because you're not being judged for one.
Correct.
You know, you're not being measured. You're not being judged. You're just, you know, do we have a common interest? Let's talk about it. Tell me your
Mhm.
thoughts on it. That's really
Right.
it. Whereas, you know, in the work setting, whether you know it or not, you're being measured not only by your peers, but by your supervisors and people
Right.
you report to.
Right.
You're being measured on a regular basis. you know?
Mhm.
So it's difficult to just be unedited, right, when you're at work.
Yeah. No. I feel you. I think it comes down to a little bit also, like I'll just use 2020 for example. Like if
Yeah.
you're going through something,
Mhm.
you know, I think sometimes in your personal life you're kind of like a little timid to talk about it. Like I know I
Mhm.
get that way. I get timid to talk about it. But when I get on the box or the game, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about anything.
Mhm.
Because sometimes the people in your personal life are who you want to talk about. You can't complain, you know, or not necessarily complain, but if you have an issue or anything, you can't do that with that person.
No,
you know what I
not-
mean?
not
But
all
you
the
can
time.
you can on chat.
Right.
On chat, it's a
Exactly.
done deal. I can go into whatever, like, you know, it kind of goes back to what Aaron said too. You know, you guys know me better, almost better than anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're talking to somebody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we talk every day for the most part.
Yeah.
At least to some capacity.
It's almost a weird symbiotic, like bionic relationship. Yeah,
It is.
because of the technology behind it and the user ability and the good parts that come from it, the positivity that comes from it. You know, just being able to be like, yo, I had a shit day today.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one of your boys be like, what happened? And you just
exactly.
go in.
You go into it.
Yep.
You just go
right
in.
into it.
Right. You might scream, you might laugh, whatever it might be.
All day.
And hey, find it. You'll eventually get to a place where they're doing the same thing. You know,
Same thing.
You guys are there for each other. You know what I mean? You
All
talk,
day.
whatever like that. And
absolutely. And there's something therapeutic about being able to talk to somebody.
Man, that's
there's something therapeutic about being able to talk to somebody that's not sitting next to you or looking at you either.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why when you go to psychology or get counseling, you know, you see movies and videos where people are laying on a chair looking away from the person that, you know, the counselor or the psychologist, right?
I didn't even think about that.
I never thought about that either.
I never thought about that until now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, because, you know, for a little while, you know, my minor was psychology and that's what I thought I'd do.
Got you.
So part of the strategy is if you're looking at somebody, you're not really thinking about what's on your mind. You might be thinking about how you come across to that person.
Man, no question.
You're
all day. I never
thinking,
even thought about that. That's interesting.
Those are for people who aren't like me. I don't give a damn. Y'all are better than I am.
Yeah, Aaron's like, look, man. This
I kind of
shut the hell up.
Right. I kind of get caught into that. I feel on that. If I'm looking at somebody, I might, for me being a perfectionist, I might be like, damn, what are they thinking? You know what I mean? Like, damn, are they judging me? You know what I mean? Like, man, this person's looking at me, judging, maybe even laughing inside. And I'm just sitting over here talking about whatever, but maybe not. I'm just saying there is something to that because I get that way. But if you can't see them, you know, obviously Aaron's different. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. He just whatever. You know, but I never even thought about that. It's crazy.
It's counseling, man. It's a form of counseling.
It's definitely a form of counseling.
You don't have a face to that you have to deal with as you're talking about whatever.
It's definitely a form of therapeutic, if you will.
Absolutely.
And there's no question. I mean, I've been in just awful spaces, you know, and then this is just therapy. You can just release. And like Aaron said, y'all listen. And then it gets reciprocated. Yep. Right. If something were to happen on the other side, I'm right here. Oh, you already know.
I'd rather go sit down here
all day,
take off to the bar
all day. That's the other part.
Take off down the road.
That's the other part. That's the other part.
Club. You know what I mean?
Like, right. Yeah.
Because now there's a bunch of stuff going on, right?
Right now there's extras, right? So I'm having a shit day. Now I'm out somewhere,
right? Man, you already know, man.
Shit day.
Let something pop off at that bar or something, and you've already had a bad day.
Right.
Nah.
I'm telling you. And on top of that, you know, again, it goes back to that feeling like you're judged. You might say something that whoever you're talking to, they have a reaction to, right?
Correct.
If you say something a little too off the wall and they have their face starts going like,
right.
You know, you might not continue talking about that.
That's it.
Right?
I'm telling you right now, that almost happened. That almost happened what I said earlier, when I said, we were talking about you. See, we were talking about, man, it's your best friend. Looked at me crazy. I said, forget it. You know what I mean? You're not, because you're not going to get it. You're not going to understand it. You would have to be in this world to understand it.
Yep.
Otherwise, to the outside world, you're thinking, well, you barely know him. You know what I mean? You guys have only game for a couple years. You think of like best friends as them childhood friends, right?
Absolutely.
The people you were in high school with, and we're still cool. You know what I mean? I'm cooler with people in the gaming world than people in real life. And that's just based on things that have just happened. You know what I mean? Just anything that happens, anything happens in the world, I'm just like, man, forget all that. I'm going here.
Yep.
I'm going here. Because you look at the outside where people did not giving a damn, people not caring about what's going on. I get on here. My boys care about what's going on, and we can talk about what's going on.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about anything that's going on. I go somewhere else and talk about things that are going on. You get, well, Yeah. Well, okay.
Exactly.
Get the hairy eyeball. They're like,
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, right? You're like,
what are you
know what I mean?
about?
Like you just get
right.
you get the crazy. Well, he should have did this, or if he would have just did that. I don't want to hear that. I get on the box.
I'm telling you.
You know what I mean? But that's obviously a conversation for another day.
Right.
But
you already know.
You know what I mean?
You already know.
Coming.
And the thing, it's funny you bring that up, especially after last year, where obviously there was a lot of things that happened last year.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of things worth having conversations about. And, again, I go back to as Black men, we don't typically talk about those things. We don't typically, not only do we not talk about it, at work because we feel like we can't because we're being judged, we don't talk about it with each other because it makes you feel like you're soft, or you start, oh, well, you got feelings about this. Oh, well, you were emotionally impacted, man. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to let this bother you. Like, whoa.
Right. And we've already talked about this. I'm the softest. See, you already know what time it is.
Man, I tell you what, if I were to say that I wasn't emotionally impacted by everything that happened last year, that's a damn lie.
Yeah.
I was, everything hit me hard. Every death, everything, the protest, everything. It was every time something happened, I was emotional. I was sitting in my room trying to get myself together before I got to work. And if I didn't have the box to have a conversation with my closest friends, then I'm not sure, I can talk to my wife, but outside of that,
right,
it's tough because people don't always have time for a phone call. You don't always have time.
Right. No, you're right about that. I would say you, for the most part, Aaron, you already know, like, because obviously we're home, right?
Right.
So you're available most of the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like going back to what C said, like sometimes people just aren't available. People are usually available on the game. Right.
And that's not to say that I don't have people in my life that would be willing to have those conversations. There's a lot of people in my life, my family members. If I said, hey, I need to have a conversation with you, then we'd have it. But most of the time, when we talk about something deep, it doesn't start with, hey man, I need to talk to you about something.
Right.
It just kind of organically happens.
Yeah. Right? But you can on this box, I would say, right, Aaron? You know what I mean? Like you can start off with, hey, I need to talk to you. Hey, Brown. Okay. You know what I mean? Aaron, you already know. Right. We gotta rap.
Right. Talk about left field all day long.
Right. Just right out of left field. Hey, I need to talk to you. You know what I mean? Right. So there's crazy positives about it. What about the challenges about online gaming relationships?
I'll start with that one.
Okay.
Only because don't kill me. All right. So the challenges of that, in my eyes, from what I've seen, is when you might get into a bad space with each other. You know what I'm saying? To where you guys, where there's the separation happens, and it's quite literally like a brick wall. Like it's like blocking or whatever, any other facet of social media, you know what I mean? Dropping folks just and kind of disappearing. Like you see like a large portion of what you've been doing every day is gone.
Right. No, you're right about that.
You hang out with this person almost every day. It's like a part of yourself is kind of just like removed.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It is strange.
It's super weird. And it's like, man, I'm gonna go out somewhere. You know what I mean? I don't need these fools. and then you're out. You're like, man, I sure do miss talking to him.
Man, I'm telling you, it's crazy how that happens. Even like, obviously, I'll use Aaron as an example. We've had 3 or 4 blowout fights, right? Where I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna unfriend. I'm gonna be childish. I'm gonna unfriend him and I'm gonna mute him. You know what I mean? But like Aaron said, there comes a time where I'm like this last time, it was over something political, but this last time I had said some things that I didn't mean. So over time, I was like, Brown, you have to apologize, bro. You just can't. That's not going to work. You know what I mean? That's somebody you've known for 14 years. You know what I'm saying? That there's something there. Like, and I know it sounds crazy to some people, but that is there. When you don't have that person that you've talked to forever, for years and years and years, no matter it be for 3 years or 14 years, you're kind of like, damn, I'm kind of bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Like, man, I'd like to know what he's thinking right now. You know?
Exactly. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah. What's you up to?
Man,
You know?
like, you know what I mean? What's going on with
Right.
the graphic design work, right?
Yeah.
What's going, you
Right.
start wondering like what's going on. What's
Right.
Chad doing?
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously you had to have a little stint. You're like, damn, what are they doing?
Yeah.
How's
It's
work
interesting. And that goes into what Aaron was saying. There's the challenge because you don't realize how many emotions you've attached to that relationship until
Right.
that relationship isn't around.
Correct.
You know, then it's like, dang, I don't, you know, obviously you don't want to put all your chips into you know, one relationship, but it can be significant. It's just like losing a best friend. You know, it's not like people don't realize the depth of, you know, having conversation with someone on a regular basis.
Right.
Just as much as when you text and call your best friend, if they just cut that relationship off or they cut that communication off, that's going to impact you, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. I think we can even tie that into, you know, like we already talked about the parenting and, you know, gamers, like the kids, like if you're, just use that example. If you're a kid, you've been playing with somebody for a month and a half, all of a sudden it's gone.
Right.
It's gone. And it's gone because something out of your control. Maybe it'd be in your control, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just, you know, maybe you were having too much fun. I was having too much fun. You know what I mean? Maybe it was something like that. And your parents were like, nah, we can't do this. And you get it taken away. It's the same thing.
Yeah. No question.
You know,
but it's
what I
different
mean?
for us because we were already grown by the time.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
We met each other, right?
Absolutely.
So,
but we gamed when we were younger. And I'm sure we all got that thing taken away.
We did game when we were younger, but it was secondary. Like as much as I loved video games, like it was still secondary.
No, we still like to be outside.
I still had sports. I still had outside friends. I still had, this is when you still met cats on the block and you went and hung out with them and stayed over their house, you know, like, and there was no Xbox Live. There was no
it wasn't,
online.
but still, but at the same time, when that damn console got taken away when you were young, you were hurt. I don't care what nobody, you know what I mean? I was hurt. Even though you had other things to do, you couldn't play like the game. You know what I mean? I still love gaming, and I've always loved gaming. It still hurt a little bit, but now think about today's generation that gaming is first. So then think about taking it away. Now gaming is first. That's like us playing our sports and getting that taken away. Turn that around.
That would suck.
Well, you can't play basketball anymore. You can't play football anymore. I can't.
Right.
What do you mean I can't? That's going to cause issues, which
you've taken away a mode of like we've said before, therapy, and you've taken away a stress reliever. You've taken away a relationship,
entertainment,
maybe several relationships,
and that goes goes right into, do restrictions on gaming lead to issues, structural relationship issues? I believe they do.
I would, if you're talking about kids, you're talking about parents, I'd hesitate to say it causes problems only because, well, this is my thing, right? So my thing, like you guys know, like my kids don't get a lot of screen time, you know what I mean? So so when they're just not on the game, they're not on the game, and like it's a regular day for them, you know what I mean? The day it's more out of the ordinary for them to spend a whole day on the screen, on the game, than it is for them not to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it isn't because I think that they shouldn't. I know that there's other things that they have still yet to explore. And I know that if they get stuck, they get in that, they're going to want to stay in it. And I get it. It's fun. It's a blast, but you're still a developing young kid. And I want you to experience stuff. I want you to find out this is just extra. You know what I mean? Like there's still good things outside of this, right? That's for me and my kids. You know what I mean? And it isn't to say that you could have a kid play video games all day long and still maybe value going out and spending time with friends or reading or writing or being artists, whatever. You can be all kinds of different things, of course. But I mean, that's just me in that case, though.
No, I totally understand that. I feel I'm different in that way. I feel like, what if your child, I will just use this example, you know, parenting children. What if your child just genuinely loves to game and it's restricted? Like, I mean, for me, I love to game. And if there was a restriction on my gaming, we'd have a problem.
Yeah, but I love to drink, but I still got to restrict myself, right? I clearly, you know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah, but I'm
I
not
like
saying,
to grill,
but
I
we
gotta
touched
restrict
on that, though.
myself. You know
That's
what I
But we
mean?
touched on that, though.
That's fair.
There's always going to be limitations. I feel like
Right.
there's a difference between limitations and restrictions. I feel like restrictions is a different word.
Why?
Like,
Yeah.
What's the difference between restrictions and limitations?
I mean, okay, so our limitation is
Limitation is
10
I can't
hours.
play any longer because I just can't play any longer. Your restriction is what somebody else puts on you, right? Or somebody's putting on another person.
maybe.
Right. So in a relationship type of scenario, like if my significant other told me you're playing games too much, I'd look at them like, excuse me?
So what if, okay, so check this out. What if the
Right.
limitation, okay, so then what if we'll say we're kids
Yep.
and you get 10 hours on the weekend to a game, right?
Mhm.
And you completely enjoy that. You love that. But all of a sudden it goes to 5. You
Mhm.
get restricted to 5 and for no reason because your parent just says, I think you're gaming too much. But yet nothing has happened. Right. So you went from that limitation of 10 hours. Now you're restricted to 5. Right.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what the hell happened. It might even be something on the outside. It might even just be your parent saying, you know what? I think you're gaming too much.
Yeah. And I think that's a tough one because there has to be, like Aaron said, there has to be some type of limitation, but it doesn't necessarily have to be viewed as a restriction.
No.
As long as there's something that you can agree upon, right?
Well, that was what I was saying. That agreement. If you agree on 10,
if you can come back
and
to
then
an
we go
agreement,
to 5
right,
for no reason, that's what I'm talking about. That being a problem. If you and I'm totally absolutely, like with drinking, you already know you and your body agree on a limit, right? So, but I'm just saying, like, if you're a kid and you agree on 10 hours, and then your parent just says, well, I think that's too much. Well, why? What do you mean that's too much?
And there
I've been
has to
doing
be a
this forever.
significant reason. I think
absolutely. If there's
times,
a significant reason, 100%.
Right. And
I don't think that's always the case.
Sometimes that reason might not be something the kid will understand, though.
Sure.
Right.
That's
Maybe
true.
it will be, hey, I want you to be exposed to more things than the game. Right. Because my kids have a limited screen time. So
sure.
On the weekends is really the only time, my kids are allowed to play the game. But on top of that, I don't want them to play the entire weekend. So I give them, I give them a couple hours. And then after that, I want you to go outside. I just want you to go outside. And I don't care what you do outside. There's going to be people that you see that are outside. And because of that, he now has developed some relationships with kids in the neighborhood. And he would
absolutely
rather, play a little bit of the game, but he balances that with the amount of time he spends with folks outside and sports that he's in.
Right.
I want that balance because
absolutely.
I don't want it to be dominated
totally
by any one thing.
No, absolutely. Because I don't want it to be dominated the other way either. At least for me, I don't.
Right.
I want both.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I still
balance.
think that that's the agreement kind of is like, look, you can play for a little bit, but you got to go outside. Now, when one of those changes to me for no apparent reason, or okay, then let's take a look at this. And what would you say? Okay, why do parents have issues with their kids gaming then?
Yeah, my issue, like I was saying earlier, is because I know that there's more to a kid's life and time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Growing up than
in
games.
childhood.
Right. In childhood. Like, and this is kind of like a double whammy for me because my kids are charter schools, you know what I mean? So they're at home most of the time anyhow. So the social aspect that I want them to gather outside of the game in reality, dealing with folks on the day in and day out is something that matters to me. One of the biggest thing. And so that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I don't want them on there all day long. You know what I mean? Like,
but do you have
I've
issues?
Do you have issues with my kids? Like, oh, I want to play. I can't play the game. Like they're getting upset.
I mean, I would
it.
say serious issues. Like when we did our other podcast,
no,
right?
Not at all.
There were issues. So what about the issues? What about the parents that have issues?
So
what are
I'll speak into that because I think when my son has been on the game too much because he's too antsy, right? There's times where if he's spent a couple hours on the game and he hasn't done anything else, he'll be super irritated by something really small in the game or like something, he won't be able to pass the level and he's ready to throw the sticks through the couch. And I'm like, hey, you're at the point where you've been on here a little too long.
Sure.
or he's short and snappy when I ask him how's he doing. Hey, you all right on there? Yeah, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, you need to turn that off. You need to turn that off. You need to do something else. And I said, my son is volatile. He's very emotional, just like I am.
Yeah.
He hates to lose, just like I do. And if I let that dominate his day, then he's not getting the growth that I want to see him get.
No,
so there's the pitfall of, of letting your kid game too much.
You know your kid.
Well, that's what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna.
So if you think that your kid can muster and he's still making the games that you think are important, right? At the end of the day, he can still throw down 12 hours of games, whatever. Obviously,
right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Going back to like the previous podcast, we talked about personality in gaming.
Right.
Yeah.
Picking games that fit your kid's personality.
Yep.
You know what I
Also
mean?
true, yeah.
100%. Like if your kid is a creative kid, get creative games that there isn't any losing. Like Minecraft. There's no losing in Minecraft. You can't lose.
Creativity. Yeah.
It's just straight creativity. Mm-hmm. Now, if your kid it gets angry when they lose, I don't think a really competitive game.
Street Fighter's not the game for them.
Street Fighter's not for you.
That's not for you.
It might be, but you have to have a limit to it, right?
Or you got to limit it. Like you said,
like challenge yourself as far as
you limit it. It's like, all right, I know my kid is we're reaching that point.
Yeah.
But again, to me, that's almost like an agreement. It's like, hey, when you start cutting up, you have to get off.
You got to get off.
There you go. That's similar to an agreement.
It's the same. I think it would apply the same with us as adults, right? If I'm at a point where I'm playing the game so much that when I lose this Madden game, I'm ready to cuss out my wife.
Right.
You've been on the game too much. You know what I mean? Like, or if I've been on the game so much and we play duty, right? If we've lost 4 or 5 games of duty and that affects my mood with my
it's time
kids,
to go. But that's the same thing. It's just time to go. It's time to be done playing duty.
Yeah,
and if that means stop
go.
playing for a day or two, then that just means stop playing for a day or two.
Yeah, you should probably stop playing period because that game sucks.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that. But that leads into like just regular relationships. Forget the parent-child relationship. What about gaming in just your relationships with any like a past relationship, your current relationships?
Yep.
I think there's issues there.
There is,
you know what I mean?
there.
So now we're not looking at, maybe attitude, like you said, maybe a little bit, but it's more, like, all right, well, this is what I love to do. Right. This is what I love to do. What's the issue?
Right.
The issue would be what if you, I can only think of an issue playing devil's advocate and telling somebody maybe you bought too many video games or maybe you spend too much hardware money. But even still at the worst end of the spectrum, what is that? Maybe $60 a month, $70 a month,
something like that.
You buy a couple games. If that's what you're doing that much, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But even you're not really buying games.
But you're not. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you're getting into maybe like you're starting to get into that like microtransaction thing and it's starting to maybe affect your family financially, that might be a problem.
A lot.
Right.
That can happen, especially on the phone.
Possibly,
you can do that on the phone real quick.
Yeah.
You already know little things.
Yeah, the microtransactions, they're an issue. I think it's kind of like with the kid. Once you hit a limit, it's spending too much money. There's too much money coming at its account. We're not going to be able to
affecting your family financially. It's definitely bad.
And
absolutely.
But I feel like that's an extreme case though.
That's super extreme. That hasn't happened to any. I haven't had. I've never. Aaron, we've been gaming. I've been online gaming since online gaming started. I haven't met a person that's happened to. Now I know it happens. Don't get me wrong. I know it happens. But in my meeting millions of people, I haven't ran into anybody that has even ran into that. But I ran into people that have issues in their relationships with gaming.
Well,
is it a jealousy thing?
Yes, it absolutely is. And
you're not spending enough time with me.
It's not only a jealousy thing of the game itself. It's a jealousy of the relationships that you have on the game. Because like we said before, you're having these open, honest dialogues with people and developing relationships. It's no question your significant other is going to start to feel like, oh, well, you feel like you can have open conversations with them that you can't have with me.
Sure.
So there's going to be a little bit of jealousy that comes in the case. The thing that I guess is the counter to that is that they have people that they have those conversations with as well. It's just not on a gaming system.
Right. It's just not on the system. It's not as frequent, right? It's on the phone.
Right. Not
like
as
ours is right. It's not as comfortable.
Right.
It's not, you just not putting a headset on.
They might not even have a hobby that they like as much that some gamers like. Yeah. You can sit here and game all day. Like, what hobbies does that significant other who doesn't play games, what are they into? You know what I mean? And how long are they doing that? But you would never hear me say, don't do that. You can't do that. Or you're spending too much time on that. It would just never happen.
Right.
If I wanted some of your time, I would just ask for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's therein lies the jealousy, right? And it's understandable.
Absolutely.
If you haven't gone out of your way to make your significant other or remind your significant other that they're significant, then they're gonna get jealous of where you spend your time. It just is what it is. I would feel that way if I knew every single night, my wife was having conversation with her sister is her go-to person. So if she's having a conversation with her sister every night, and then she'd go to bed and we never had any conversation, then of course I'd start to feel some type of way. I'd be like, okay, well, it's been 3-4 nights in a row and you haven't said anything to me, not anything significant, so where does our relationship stand? What are we going to talk about? I'm okay that you have that conversation, but I need a conversation.
Right.
So you got to be able to balance that. That's the agreement.
Do you need her to talk to you, or do you just need her to be available for you to talk when you need to talk eventually?
Both.
Right? So
because I'm sensitive.
I'd be like, hey, I would just say,
I need both.
I'm here if you need me. Right. That's kind of scenario for me.
Right. Right. I get that. Yeah.
I'll never tell you we can't talk. You know what I mean? Like I want you to be aware that I'm always here to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want you to also be that person for me. If I need to talk, and I really need to talk, I need you to be there for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. For sure.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, I think, it's very interesting. Gaming and relationships, no matter what relationship it is, it's very interesting. And there are the positives, there are the negatives, and I think but that's with anything, what I mean? It's just with anything, it is. It just is what it is. And
you have to.
Yeah. You just got to go through
balance.
Yeah. You got to have the balance. It comes down. Yep. It comes down to the balance. Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, can we all agree that it comes down to the balance, whether it be whatever relationship or even with your games itself, you still have to have a balance. You have to have a game life balance. Yep. And when that gets out of whack, then you kind of get in trouble. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. I appreciate it. That I appreciate this conversation. I think that is going to help out. I think that it'll help out some people in general. Truthfully, if they hear this conversation, it's going to help in your relationship. It's going to help, with your kids, absolutely. Yeah. So I definitely want to thank you guys for doing this with me. It's time to go. It's the 2-Bit Cypher. Again, if you like the video, please subscribe. Please share. We out.
Peace.